David Wygant live from Montauk, man. Some good music going on in the background. If you can hear the music in the background and you know the song, the first one to tell me the name of the song, the year of the song, that's so easy with Google nowadays, the band of the song, you'll get a free 15-minute consultation. First one. All right, anyway. Brett, you always have choice, huh?
You do. You know, that's the interesting thing is that when things happen to you in life, whether it's at work or in your relationship or dating or with your family, you always have a choice of how you're going to react, right? Which is an interesting kind of way to look at it because you think, oh, I reacted, I just had a reaction, but what really is happening is that you've had that experience so many times that you just make that decision. You make a decision to have that reaction. And the first step to not having that negative reaction, and I say negative because that's how it impacts you, right? Not necessarily the person, other people involved. If you have a negative reaction, it impacts you in your life negatively. You're not happy, right? So the first step to changing that in your automatic reactions is to stop and think and go, oh, I made a conscious choice to have that reaction.
You know, it's funny. We're a reactive society now, right? And it used to be, you know, back in the olden days when we were young, we reacted to what was presented to us. External stimulation, right? Or mental stimulation. Or if you know what that is, okay, here's another trivia question. You hear that in the background right now? The dog certainly does. He's running across the lawn. If you know what that is, you'll also get free 15-minute consultation. So tell me what that is, why they blow that every day at noon, and the meaning behind it and the tradition behind it. Go to davidwygant.com, send me an email. Don't post it in anything underneath here because I won't read that. We used to just react to things, and it's funny, right now we are reacting to external stimulation. Back when you and I grew up, we only had the external stimulation. We only had a choice of what was presented in front of us, right?
Mm-hmm.
We either make a right, we make a left, okay?
Mm-hmm.
We walk across the street, we either eat at the deli, we eat at the diner, right? Nowadays, okay, our choices are so cluttered. You know, we go to Yelp and we literally look through Yelp and we try to find the best place near us, right? We have choices whether to connect and talk to you or to read the Instagram. Oh, wait a second, Brett, as I'm saying this right now, Aunt Sally just put a picture of her bundt cake up on Instagram, and we're going to have a sugar party tomorrow, and I want to make sure that she hit the chocolate frosting on it. We are constantly disconnecting from what is presented in front of us.
Mm-hmm.
We're constantly disconnecting from the lessons. And you remember the book, The Celestine Prophecy, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that book was all about what was presented in front of us and literally looking at the lesson that was presented in front of us because the universe was giving us that person. So if you look at today's society, people are constantly making choices not to have the gift that's in front of them. So why are people walking around in today's society without a relationship? Because all the relationships they need are presented to them, but they're staring at their phone. They're choosing their phone, right? Why are they constantly not learning lessons over and over again? Because they're choosing not to learn the lessons and seeing that they keep presenting. We're using external stimulus nowadays, phones and Facebooks and Instagrams, to change the way. I mean, how many times have you been with a woman and you're hanging out and fucking some notification goes up and you can feel her energy change?
Totally. Too many times. Too many times. I mean, once is too many times, really. But then again, you know, you have a choice. I have a choice in that moment, right? It's like, you know, you have a choice how you react. Are you either going to tell yourself that that's an important thing and that makes you feel less than and it makes you feel like that stuff is taking her attention away from you? Or you have another choice and to say, you know what? That's okay. That has no bearing on what's going on between she and I right now. It means nothing to me, so therefore it means nothing in this situation. So there you go. You have another choice to make. How you react to things is always your choice, right? And that's kind of the big overarching lesson is that it's a choice to react. So, you know, we've all heard, well, your life is a sum total of all the choices you make. It's true, but not necessarily just the big choices like where you went to college or who you marry or things like that. It's like every day you make these important choices and how you feel emotionally about certain things that happen and people that you meet, and that has a lasting effect on your life, right?
your choices, not only that, it's so funny you say that. You choose not to have the conversation with the person that you're afraid to have the conversation with, so you don't. So that relationship ends, and you say to yourself, well, that's just good, the relationship ends, right? Then the next relationship comes along 3 years later, and the same conversation comes up, and you choose not to have that conversation again. And you have a pattern. It's funny, a client of mine emailed me the other day and said 20 years ago I was able to go and talk to people. And then all of a sudden I started getting nervous because I got shut down. So I chose at that moment not to really speak my mind. 20 years later, he's still trying to figure out how to speak his mind. So our choices that we make are choices that are actually, that's what we're really conveying, is that the lessons that present ourselves every single day really shape who you're going to be in the future. You know, it's like if you look at your life and look at the patterns. I mean, look, I enabled a certain person to have a behavior with me, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that behavior is playing itself out right now. Now I want to do something about it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Back then I kind of ignored it, right? And I said, no, I'm just being generous. I'm just being nice. Or she's young right now and she'll come out of it.
Mm-hmm.
No, not at all.
Mm-hmm.
All the tough things that I avoided back then are still showing themselves every single day to me. And the universe is still saying, look, man, you are a co-creator of this life that you chose to make. You made choices not to stand up for yourself. You made a choice not to cut somebody off. You made a choice not to parent a certain way. You made a choice not to eat healthy, right? You made a choice not to work out. And all our choices come back. I mean, we get our warning signs. And at that moment that warning sign comes up, like the person all of a sudden looks at their body and says, God, I don't understand why I'm not losing weight, right? I'm really not eating the sugar or the fats anymore. I don't get it, right? But yet there's still something they're choosing. But the thing is, all the shit, the way their body is now, happened 5 or 6 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
It's all the stuff that, you chose at that moment not to do that. Your communication issues, your issues with your daughter, me, right? Those are all choices that I made, or we call it the swept under the rug moments that continue to haunt us time and time again until we finally stand up and say to ourselves, fuck it, I'm going to go and have this tough conversation. I'm going to go and deal with that. I mean, you've told me that whole thing, like all the stuff that's been happening to me had to happen, right? And you're like, oh, great, this is great that it's happening. And I'm like, I can't stand it. But from a long range view, this will change the way my life is. So those choices happen. There are many levels to those choices.
Right. It's true. Whatever you need is going to happen. Whatever you've been ignoring in your past is going to pop up and make you pay attention to it. Right. Like I had a history myself personally of ignoring the things that I wanted until I made a choice. I made a decision to become really enraged about it in a relationship. And so then I would just kind of vomit all my shit all over them. Yep. Instead of when things came up, I made a choice to bury it. Instead of now I'm making a healthier choice. When things come up, I say, look, I'm having this reaction and I just want to talk to you about it, instead of, it's a much, or I can also make the choice of just not having that reaction, right? I can make the choice not to have that reaction, which is the better choice, right? Is to, and I don't mean to sound too woo-woo, right? But to make it the choice of love. I love this person. They love me. This is not a realistic response that I'm having. It's a negative response. It doesn't help me and it doesn't help them. So make another choice. It's easier said than done to make another choice, right? Because we've all got this programming, but recognizing that you're making that negative choice is the first step.
Stop reacting, start choosing.
Right.
Realize that when something comes up over and over again, it's, God, the universe, whatever you believe in, is literally telling you every single time, okay, I'm going to give you this lesson again.
Right.
How many more times are you going to sweep it under the rug and make believe it's going to go away? Stuff doesn't go away.
No.
It never goes away. It doesn't go away. You have an ex, and X is haunting you, or the lessons are still haunting you, so you just think that they're out of mind, out of sight, out of mind. Out of sight, out of mind doesn't work, because the same lessons will keep coming back over and over again. In order to move forward as a enlightened Buddhist entity, being a master communicator and a master feeler, you got to go through the tough shit.
Yeah, of course. It's like a tunnel, right? They say you can't go around it, you got to go through it.
Oh,
otherwise it's just going to keep popping up and slapping you in the face.
And every time it slaps you in the face, the same situation comes up over and over again. That's why the stress, and the more you sweep it under the rug, or the more you hide it in the tunnel, the more it's going to come back, and the uglier it gets every single time. So take a look at a lesson that comes up and say to yourself, you have two choices, right? You either choose to handle the lesson when it comes up and grow, or you choose to let it fester and let it sweep it under the rug and let it come back with another person, or let it come back, because every time it comes back, it gets harder and harder and harder.
Sure.
Whether it's mental clarity, physical clarity, emotional clarity, it's no different. Look at yourself in the mirror and ask yourself, look at your body, strip yourself down to naked and say to yourself, hey, if you're heavy and overweight, you know what? You had warning signs about this 15 fucking years ago. You chose to fucking ignore it. If you're mentally a mess or emotionally a mess, you had many warning signs you chose to ignore.
Sure, absolutely. It's always there. I mean, well, the writing's always on the wall. It's whether you choose to look at it or not, right?
Yeah, we're going to end at that.
Okay.
See you tomorrow, man. We're going to go to the beach. 10-minute daily reality check. Spread it, choose it, and share it.